Nathaniel, right here. Obviously, fight week spawn us here in Manchester. I think you're undefeated in England in the UFC. So I'm curious, like, how's fight week been? You know, preparation, featherweight in Manchester, all that.
It's always better when I'm in my own country. You know, obviously I don't have to travel too far. Home complex, if you like. Obviously I have a few hours from home, so I can hotel. Yeah, it's good. I've gone through practice. Weight-wise, Saturday night and do the job.
Does it feel more like fight night, even though you are fighting in the UK, like you do have to go to the fighter hotel and everything? Because we've talked to some fighters that even though they fight in their hometown, they still like to keep the routine of, fighter hotel and everything like that rather than sleeping in their own home.
I always prefer being in my own home. I'm just a home comfort guy. I like my family around me. Obviously, my dad's my coach, so I'm lucky to have him here with me at the hotel. But yeah, the UFC make everything easy for us. So, we've got the Institute now, we've got all of this stuff here. So, if you like, we're spoiled.
And obviously, you're fighting Daniel Pineda. He's obviously been in the UFC for quite a while, had a little bit of a break. They brought him back. So was he ever on your radar coming up, or did you just start thinking about him when they presented the name? So
I've seen the name only because he fought previous opponents that I've had. So I've, looked at his fights when studying other opponents. But yeah, as you say, he's been in the game for a very long time. He's very experienced. I think he fought Mike Brown back in UFC 1, 3 something, a long time ago. So, obviously I put respect on his name. He's been in the game for a very long time. So, good matchup, comes to fight. And yeah, I look forward to fighting him on Saturday night.
I don't think he's ever fought to a decision win. All of his victories have been by stoppage, most of them coming by submission. So what kind of fight are you expecting from him? Because even though, like, the losses he's had to, like, Andre Fili, I know that was a no contest, but he wasn't getting put away. He just kind of kept coming forward.
So obviously he's tough as old boots. He's a veteran. He's obviously a fighter. So I know that I'm going to need to put him out to finish him. He's very tough. So, I expect him to be very durable. He, from what I see in his fights, looks like he gasses quite a lot. So, maybe that's why he's not winning the decisions as much, because he's more of a, if he can't get the stoppage straight away, he maybe deteriorates in the fights. So I'm confident with my skill set that I'm going to go in there and do the job. And yeah, I just need to put my money where my mouth is.
And then final one for me. I don't know if you saw, but the Association of Boxing Commission passed some new rules that on November 1st, they're going to allow 12 to 6 elbows, and they've redefined what a grounded opponent's going to be. I'm curious, what do you make of these new rule changes and them going into effect in November?
It's fine with me. Yeah, for the end of the day, we're fighting. I think grounded opponents a long time ago should have been both knees on the floor or your back on the floor. This all touching the floor and then coming off, I think it's too deceiving. It's just confusing your opponent, and it's not a downed opponent. If we was wrestling, I would need to take you down and put you back on the mat for it to count as a takedown. So yeah, I'm glad they just, it works for me. It means that I can do more in my skill set.
Is that frustrating when not every commission has the same rules for a grounded opponent? Some of them it's one hand, some of them it's two hands. Is like, does that go into like you choosing fights, or is it that complicated?
It doesn't really affect me too much, but it can be a little bit confusing, But obviously the UFC before always have the ref come and give us the rule breakdown, etc. So we always just before the fight will ask, but it would be nice to know exactly what we can do.
Nathaniel, like, you're fighting on home soil, but we're fighting on US time zone, which is a bit of a weird one for all the Brits fighting on the card. Just wondered, what changes have you made in terms of making sure that you're going to be peaking on fight night? And obviously, having Brad fought at 2:04 in the middle of the night last time, I wondered what experiences he's been able to share with you from that to help prep you for this.
So me personally, I go to sleep quite late anyway. I'm usually going to bed at midnight, 12:30, that sort of thing on a normal day. So all I've done is just increased my time a little bit. I don't think I'm going to need to change my regime, if you like, to have a fight at 2:30. If someone knocked on my door saying that someone's robbing my car or something at night, I'm not going to have an issue getting awake. So the adrenaline rush, etc., that will all kick in for me. For someone like Tom Aspinall, it might be a lot worse because he's at 5 a.m. But yeah, for me, I just need to stay up a couple of more hours. And, I've done a few late night sessions just to test it out and see how I feel. And, I have no issues once the music's on and my coach has got the pads on. I'm good to go.
And you mentioned earlier about feeling much happier at 145 pounds. Just give us a sense of how much better it is to be able to just get in there with that extra 10 pounds on the frame and not have to make that really tough weight cut down to 35?
It just means I can have a life. You know, the cuts to 135, let's say that for the camp, 6 weeks of it, I'm miserable. If I fight 3 times a year, 6, 12, 18 weeks of the year, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. You know, I'm not enjoying it at all. And that's the whole reason why I do this sport. Because, one, obviously it pays me very well, but it didn't for the first 10 years. So the enjoyment is what I do it for. When you start to take that away, why am I doing it? You know, I may as well go and get a job. So I thought instead of doing that, I'll go up a weight. You know, I don't have any issues in the gym with guys that are heavier than me. If anything, I probably struggle with the smaller guys. And, yeah, you know, I think the proof's in the pudding. I've had, in total, 5 fights at 145. I've only lost 1, which had nothing to do with weight. And I've got that speed advantage.
And last one from me. Obviously, it's a big night for UK MMA. 2 Brits in title fights at the top of the card. I just wonder what your thoughts were on those 2 fights and how you think Tom and Leon will perform in those 2 fights.
Call me biased, but I think they're both going to get the job done, and I think they're going to get it done in good fashion.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot.
Nathaniel down here. This is your first fight as a father.
Yes.
How's it? Congratulations, obviously,
Thank
but how does it feel going into fight week being a dad?
It feels good. You know, it feels more pressure because I don't feel like I'm fighting for me anymore. I feel like I'm fighting for my daughter. But what motivation to have behind me. You know, if I wasn't motivated enough as it is now, I'm definitely motivated. So, you know, my whole camp, I've had a new fire inside me. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to going in there on Saturday night and getting to showcase it.
And a lot of people say that it changes their outlook on fighting in general in terms of the duration of how long they want to compete. Has that been the case for you, or have you not thought about that?
Yeah, so I've always said that I don't want to retire at a late age. You know, I would like to retire at a young age when I've got my health, because I don't want my daughter to see me punch drunk, if you like. I don't want my daughter to see me be a gatekeeper for young up-and-coming fighters. You know, when you've seen fighters in the past that are, you know, struggling to hang the gloves up and it just ruins the end of their career, I don't want that to be me. So, you know, obviously I need to fight to get paid. And that's why I've got businesses outside of fighting now, because I'm hoping that one day they'll be able to cover my finances, and then all I have to do is fight when I want to for the passion, you know, not for the paycheck. But yeah, you know, I always take my health very seriously, and now, you know, being a dad, it's even more important. You know, I've even got life insurance now. So, yeah, the perks of being a dad, right?
And final one for me, what did you make of Daniel's performance against Alex Caceres last?
So, you know, I watched the fight. It was a good fight. You know, obviously Alex Caceres won, but Alex is very tricky. Again, like I said earlier, I just see that Pineda fatigues a bit over time, and he does show that in the fights. You know, sometimes fighters can be fatiguing, but they've got the good poker face, sorry. And, yeah, you know, when he starts to fatigue, you can see it.
Nathaniel, you are one of the biggest favourites on the card. I think you're 1-3 on. He's 4-1 to get the win. I'm just wondering, is that how you see the fight? Do you feel like this is one you really should be getting the job done?
If I'm honest, I completely ignore that, because I actually like being the underdog. You know, I prefer that. When I fought Mohamed Naimov, everyone was looking past him, and I didn't like that on fight week. You know, it felt weird when people said, "Oh, you know, this is an easy fight for you." It's the UFC. There's no such thing as an easy fight. It's 4-ounce gloves, you know, so anyone can be dangerous on the night. So, yeah, you know, I'm going into this fight looking like I'm fighting Ilya Chapora for the belt, you know. But, yeah, I'm always confident in my skill set that regardless who I go up against, you know, I'm going to get the win.
And that last fight you mentioned there, Mohamed, obviously it didn't go your way. What changes from that fight to this fight in terms of the camp and the preparations doing? Does anything change?
No, not so much anything changed. When I watched the fight back, I realised how dirty he was being. You know, in the fight, I didn't really realise it. So after, you know, I shook his hand. But, nah, you know, when I watched the fight back, it pissed me off. And the one thing that I'm going to take away from it is I can make as many excuses as I like, but if I had finished the fight, I wouldn't need to argue whether the ref should have deducted a point or, you know, whether the judges got it right, whatnot. So, yeah, for me now, it's about finishing these fights and making sure that it's all in my control.
Thanks, mate. Good luck.
Thank you.
Nathaniel, back here. Your daughter's gone through quite the fight for her life. How much has that inspired you going into this fight?
She's made it easy for me, mate. You know, whenever I feel like, oh, I don't want to go training or I don't want to diet down my weight, etc., I just look at her and what she's gone through, and it just toughens me up. So yeah, you know, she's made me tougher. And when I see her just smiling and cracking on with life, it makes me realise how spoiled and whingy that we can be as human beings. And yeah, you know, she's given me a positive outlook now and made me a better person.
And you've been very open about your OCD and your mental health. How important do you think it is for athletes to be open about their mental health and, you know, not see the hate that they might get for being open about stuff like that?
So definitely I think it's good to talk about it. I was fortunate enough that I've got a good family and a wife, so I can always talk about mine. I never wanted to actually bring mine out into the public because I didn't want people to maybe say that I was doing it for clout, or, you know, I know Tyson Fury at the time was talking about it. I didn't want people to go, oh, you know, he's just another one jumping on the bandwagon. So I never mentioned it until I got asked the question. And all I've had since I have been speaking about it is positive feedback. You know, people messaging me how much it helps them just seeing me talk about it. So, you know, it's a good feeling. And if I can talk about it and help people in the world, then, you know, I'm all for it. I'm not embarrassed about it. So yeah, when people ask me, you know, I'm open to conversations.
And you mentioned having other businesses outside of fighting, one of those being the Prospect Academy.
Yeah.
How fun has that been to run and be part of?
Mate, it's been great. You know, obviously, you know yourself being on board. It's a good community we've got. Me personally, I can't sit still. So, you know, when I finish my training session in the morning, for my mental health, I need to keep busy. I need to keep occupied. And starting these businesses has done that. You know, at the very beginning when I started them, it was purely to have a project, to have something to focus my mind on and, you know, stay out of the dark cloud days, if you like. And, you know, it's definitely been a help. So, yeah, for all those that are on board, I'm grateful to have you on there.
And my final question, Daniel Pineda has popped for performance-enhancing drugs in the past. Does that cross your mind at all when you're training for him?
Not when I'm training. I have a couple of times for when USADA have come up to my house. I think, I hope you're doing the same for him, you know, seeing as he has popped before. Yeah, I would like to think that he's not doing that anymore with, you know, how strict the sport is now on that sort of stuff. But yeah, you know, I can't accuse anyone until obviously results have come in. But I imagine that USADA have tested him.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yes, lads.
Good right here. Front right here. Obviously, not your first time fighting on, you know, enemy soil in the UFC. So is this just old hat for you now, just coming into someone's backyard and trying to give him an L?
Well, I was kind of the home fighter until last Wednesday night, and now they've given me a fucking British guy in the UK. But I live here for the most of the year. I train in Liverpool with Caolan, Four Corners. I trained in my own gym this morning. Took a 30-minute drive up the road, like, so. I'm not the home fighter, but I don't expect to be too bad this weekend, you know. Not
So-
Paris, anyway.
So you will have some cheers when you come
Oh,
out.
lad, there's a crowd coming. Like, it's as close to UFC Dublin as we're going to get for a while, anyway. So I expect a big Irish contingent in the crowd. But now, lads, part and parcel. Cheer me or boo me. I don't really care.
What do you make of your opponent? Obviously, he's on a bit of a skid, but he's still very popular, especially here in the UK. Where do you think he stands in his career?
Well, first and foremost, I fair play to him. Respect here. Like, you know, I mean, I didn't have a fight last Wednesday night. I didn't know what was going on. I've known Jake Hadley since, well, it must be 12 years now, like from the amateur days. I've been watching him. We've both kind of been winning the whole way up. Both Cage Wars champions coming in. So I've always respected his skill. And as soon as I heard his name, that gave me a lift. Like, I think anyone who's been watching UK MMA for a while will tell you it's a much better fight. He's a bigger name, obviously, in the UK. But I think coming up from 100, anyone who's ever trained with me or fought with me will tell you that coming up from 125 pounds, you'll be doing very, very, very well to live with me. Like, so absolutely respect him, fair play to him, but I think I'm going to run through him, for being honest.
How much of a factor do you think that will play? You know, he's fought at flyweight most of his UFC career. Now he's coming up and fighting, you know, one of the bigger 135ers.
Definitely one of the bigger 135ers. Definitely one of the biggest weight cuts in the division. It has to play a factor. Like I anytime I've ever trained with a bantamweight, they're the one that tell me, like, after, geez lad, you're strong. I never train with flyweights because maybe a wee bit too strong. For him to come up, I don't know, he's a skillful fighter. He definitely poses threat. I say he's been winning the whole way up, like, but I'm very, 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 very... Now, I'm not stupid and saying, oh, as soon as I hit him, he'll go down. He's a wee man. As soon as I grip him, he'll be... Like, it's not that. He's a good fighter, but there's him feeling good and thinking, fuck, I haven't got a weight cut. I feel strong here. I feel healthy. I feel good at 135 pounds. And then there's, under the bright lights, 4-ounce gloves, me hitting him for the first time at 135 pounds, me gripping him for the first time. So has to play a factor, but I can't be under the illusion of, like, oh, I'll just walk through him because he's coming up in weight class. But that is definitely a factor. That's no point in lying.
And then just one that unrelated to this fight. I don't know if you saw, but there's been some rule changes that have been approved that are going to affect on November 1st. That will allow 12 to 6 elbows. And,
no way.
Yeah. And it's also redefined what a downed opponent is. I think you need another part of your body besides your hand. So like your elbow, your shoulder, your butt, whatever. You can't just have one hand down. They still have to, all the commissions still have to approve this. So it might take a while, but November 1st is realistically the rollout. What do you make of these new rule changes?
Well, it sounds good. Like, I can literally put my kneecap to your fucking forehead, but I can't do this. It's a stupid rule in the first place. But I actually hadn't heard that, lad. But hey, happy days. Makes sense.
Caolan right here.
Yes, lad.
Just one for me, bro. Couple guys in the division that are making kind of noise, right? Like Raul Rosas Jr., I know you called him out. Another guy, Peyton Talbot.
Yeah.
What do you think of those guys, and what do you think you have to do to kind of get yourself noticed the way they have so far?
Well, my plan was to call out Rosas as soon as this ended. 7 weeks later, go back-to-back in the Sphere. I was ready to do that. It's the only way to make it in this game. Look at fucking Alex Poirier, 2 weeks' notice, rocking up, putting me in. Fair play to him. Absolutely flying. That was my plan, but obviously he's booked now. Peyton Talbot is a good fighter, 100% a good fighter. Fair play to him, going well, but, like, Jesus Christ, man, cool the jets. Like I watched his debut. Like, whenever the Mac was coming up, people were saying, like, when he fights a grappler, he'll get smashed. When O'Malley was coming up, when he fights a grappler, he'll get smashed. But it was speculation, really. You hadn't seen it. I watched his debut. Fucking some lad, I don't even know who the guy was, comes out, takes him down, takes the back, flattens him out, gasses, comes out second round, gassed, again finds himself in his back. I was like, geez, lad, you actually don't know how to fucking... You're giving your back every time here. So he is a good fighter, 100%. Fair play to him. He's after sparking that kid Gamori, who pulled out on me on the Tuesday morning. I would urge anyone who's watching this to hit pause and go watch UFC France's video of him warming up for that fight before he blow Peyton up over that win. But he is good, but I think getting a wee bit too much hype at the weight class. There's definitely tougher fights at 135 for less hype. If the UFC wanted me to do that at the end of this year next, absolutely no fucking problem. I'd fight Peyton Talbot next, no problem.
Caolan, back here. The fight replacement, again, obviously a little bit of a nightmare, right? Talk to me, does the game plan change at all going from Ramon Tavares to Jake Hadley?
Well, we prepare correct, and I always hear these fighters going up saying, oh, the opponent's irrelevant and all that shit. I think it's that's bullshit. Like, John Jones openly says I prepare for my opponent. Like, I don't understand why he's saying that. So we prepared for Ramon, absolutely. We done 10.5-week camp with Southpaw. And I hadn't trained or sparred one southpaw, and then last Wednesday night he pulled out of my last spar on the Thursday, and Caolan goes, we may as well go orthodox and shoot on him on his last spar. And I was like, that's definitely what it's going to be. Lo and behold, the UFC pulled out a southpaw for me and Jake Hadley. Very lucky. Very lucky that. Again, not the same style, but not too dissimilar. Injuries happen in this game. That's part and parcel of the sport. If you're preparing correctly every day in the gym, you're going in fighting, you're wrestling. Injuries happen, so I'm sure it's not the last time it'll happen. But of course, not ideal. But just happy I got a southpaw. I'm more than anything happy to be on this stage, sitting here today, about to fight on UFC 304, one of the biggest cards the UK's ever had. So again, fair play to Jake. Thanks him for fucking taking it. But couple of changes, yeah, couple of changes.
And you spent the beginning of this year at Fight Ready before your fight in Atlantic City. Wondering, are you looking to go back there sometime soon? And what was that training like?
Yeah, it was great. It was my Caolan and Caolan says if you can go. We went over for 3 weeks. Fucking bit of sun in the UK. Bit of sun in January. Is not what I'm used to in the UK, so that was nice. It was great training. A lot of UFC bantamweights, and I suppose I was coming off my first ever loss. I've been winning the whole way up. I'd never fucking lost a round as a pro before my UFC debut, and not that you would ask questions of yourself, but it's nice to be with a lot of UFC bantamweights and flyweights and that, see where your level's at, and just kind of like confirm it to yourself that I can handle these boys, you know what I mean? So it was a good experience. Something I'd absolutely be open to doing again, but my gym, Team Kape on four corners, you know.
And my final question, how proud are you to be one of 3 fighters representing Ireland on this card?
Always, lad. Always. I say there's a big contingent coming this weekend from places of Ireland I don't know. People like just general MMA fans representing as best I can, you know what I mean? So that's all it means the world to me, lad, to be honest.
You said at the start that this is the closest thing you're going to get to a UFC Dublin for a while. Why do you think that is? Because as the guys just said, there's a few on the card this weekend. Ian Garry seems to be, getting to that point where he could headline.
The big blonde Brazilian fella?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so why do you think that is?
No, am I joking? Hopefully, it probably does rely on Ian. I'm not getting the UFC Dublin this year anyway. I'm fucking only 1-1 the UFC. I just heard no talk of it. It was 10-year anniversary on the 19th there. I was a kid in school who couldn't afford a ticket to that, but if that was to happen, it would be quite literally a dream come true, but I'm hearing nothing of it. If we keep winning, of course, Ian keeps winning, it becomes more likely, but I'm just hearing nothing of it. You know what I mean? No confirmation of it, but if it happens, of course, that would be unbelievable. That would be unbelievable.
There's some issue with Ian?
No. You're joking, lad. No, if he's doing well for himself, fair play, like.
Just on Ian quickly, what do you think he can do to maybe get the fans back on his side? It feels like in recent fights he's done so much wrong in MMA fans' minds. What do you think he can do to get the crowd back on his side?
To be honest, the way he was talking the last time, he seemed to... I was liking it, like he seemed more like himself. Winning is... Well, actually, you say that Belal's in the main event this night, and he's been winning like it doesn't always work. I don't know, lad. Be yourself and keep winning. Would hope that the Irish will get behind you eventually. Like, he is an Irishman, essentially. So, not essentially, he is an Irishman. So, I don't know, lad. I just focus on me. I'm building a big support in Ireland, but fair play to him. He's been winning. I think he took a lot of unwarranted stick for the MVP performance. Fuck me. Any win against MVP is a good fucking win in my eyes, if I'm being honest. I knew he was tricky in the field. I didn't think he was that fucking tricky. He done what he had to do, but I just focus on me, lad. If they like him, they like him. If they don't, they don't. I only worry about myself, you know. Job done. Thank you, boys.
Didn't ask about No, I didn't.
One bite knockout. No slouch. I didn't. Oh, I can imagine. Well, to be fair, if I can get like a 24-hour nap before, yeah. yeah, well, one could argue that the Americans carry over as well. And your body just stops functioning. It's all going in dark. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Did you shake it?
What? Just laughing? Why is he laughing at Bobby Green? Because he threw his...
Those are the glory days, mate. How's work going?
Right?
Oh, yeah. I thought most people... Came over very much. We can come back soon, though. I can't do
They approached him.
Yeah, I thought she came back. I thought she like went longer.
The whole post made out like,
Yeah.
a lot of people who leave there.
Oh yeah, true. No, but that's one right there. You got offered a bit of a job. I think it's all right. That's what last year. I remember, yeah, it never did wrong.
We got something. Do you know what I mean? Actually, like, bad stuff. Then you realise that, like, shit.
No, I'm good, mate.
Why did you stand right here? No, but there's only 3 fights.
Happens all the time.
This is recording. Mick, home soil for this one. How does it feel to be able to walk out there in front of a home crowd and fight on British soil?
Yeah, it's amazing. So obviously, my debut was UFC London. That was perfect, such a great atmosphere. So UFC Manchester even closer to home. I'm expecting a great crowd. So there's nothing like watching that crowd. It's amazing.
Do you think the time, everyone's talking about the time, the fact it's in the middle of the night, do you think that will like harm the atmosphere at all? Or do you think the Brits will have enough beer and stuff to keep themselves going?
Yeah, but the atmosphere might be better. I'm just, it might work out better for the crowd. I was thinking sometimes the prelims can be a little bit quieter. But if it was me, I would just get there early, so you're there all day rather than sitting about waiting until 3 a.m. for the main card to wait. I would go there earlier, so it might be like a busier crowd earlier on than usual.
Obviously, right, fighting at home is cool, but it does come with extra pressure. There's more fans and friends around. Do you think about that, or do you just think, no, I have to focus on the positives and make sure that I take this moment for what it is and enjoy it?
Yeah, I just enjoy it. Like I said, these moments, like Manchester, or maybe it's once a year it's going to come to the UK, but it's not guaranteed I'll be on it. So it's amazing to get on these UK cards, and I'll try my best to get on them all the time. But no other pressure. People are still watching. If you get beat, they're still watching the telly regardless. So.
And when you look at the fight itself, how are you expecting him to come in and approach the fight against you, and how do you think you find success on Saturday?
Yeah, I can just go off his previous fights. Everyone's different and everyone's getting better. He looks like more of a kickboxer fight. He's just tough and durable. I think I'm loads better than him everywhere, like technically much better. But I do think he's aggressive and he's definitely tough, which can make for a hard, gritty fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a harder fight than people are expecting, but I can't see him beating us.
Obviously, you've put some time on the mats with Tom and Phil DeFries and these bigger heavyweights. Tom's always said he didn't realize how beneficial it was until he was in there with a lot of bigger guys. He was training with smaller guys. So is it the same with you, that he kind of has this collective of heavyweights that can, you can push each other rather than having to train with these smaller guys in the gym?
It's completely different. My first gym, I was training with welterweights, middleweights, probably at the biggest, and I thought I was amazing. I was doing okay, but I thought it was amazing. I moved and trained with Big Phil about 5 or 6 years. He lives right round the corner to me, really. I was training through seeing with Andrew Fisher. And I still remember the first session with him. He was the first big guy, more experiences. It was awful. I remember thinking, oh, God, this isn't as nice as when you train with the welterweights and middleweights. You just need to. I need to train with bigger guys. Got me loads better. Some of the harder fights I potentially wouldn't have won if I was still training with lighter guys. And then to go and train with Tom and like 8 or 9 great heavyweights, people from all over the world that's travelling there. It's amazing. I don't think there's anyone in the world now with heavyweights as good as at Tom's gym.
If everything goes well for you and Tom on Saturday, do you think you'll find a more of an influx of heavyweights just kind of coming in, even from the U.S. to like come train with you guys just for the bodies in there?
Yeah, I think people are messaging Tom's dad Andy all the time to get in. It's like that's how you get in through Andy. He must decide whether you're worthy or not to get in. But sure. I think big guys, you need to be around with the big guys fighting. I think it's easy to be winning because the pool's quite small. Then you might get beat a few, and then you realise, it's completely different when you're in there fighting bigger people. I think the grappling's different. Obviously, the punches are a lot heavier and different. And you just need a good team around you. I think you're lucky to get like one good guy with you, but down there to have like 7, 8, and like some absolute monsters. Some of the guys down there are absolutely huge. They can all fight. It's not like some gyms where you go, you might have one hard training round, and you look around and like the next round's a bit of a rest round there. Everyone's trying to kill you or crush you and squish you. So it's so good to be around. It is.
Then a couple unrelated to this fight. I don't know if you saw, but some new rule changes were passed on November 1st. 12-6 elbows will now be allowed in the fight, and then they've redefined what grounded opponents are. You need another part of your body besides just your hand for a grounded opponent. I'm curious, what do you make of these rule changes going into effect?
Is that for Saturday? Well,
no, it's November. November 1st.
Good job. I didn't have a clue. I was thinking. No, I did see the 12-6 elbow. I definitely saw it. I think that was a silly one to have in, really. It's no different than any other elbow, I didn't think. The grounded one, yeah, it's probably better. Sometimes people are playing the rules, but what's now, so with 2 hands be classed as
so you need your hand and then like an elbow or a shoulder or a knee. It just has to be another part of your body. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 hands.
Yeah, it's probably better to me go with that a bit quicker and knee to the head. But yeah, I think the rules have always been a bit sketchy, haven't they, especially to the grounded opponent. So it's probably good universally. Everyone knows exactly what's happening. Less room for error and mistakes in there.
And one final one for me. I think I know your answer, but how do you see the main and co-main event playing out on Saturday or Sunday morning, I guess?
I think the 2 British guys have got it. Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, I don't know Edwards. I don't train with him, but I think he'll win. Obviously, train with Tom. Like, I wouldn't be surprised again if Tom just first 2 minutes we won again. Like, no disrespect to Curtis Blaydes, I think he's a great fighter, but I think Tom's something special he is.
Mick down here. It's been a perfect start to UFC career. Obviously, the win over Jamal Pogues and then Kai over Machado and then obviously Muhammad Usman. How would you assess everything so far? Has the UFC journey been everything that you expected?
Yeah, it's been amazing being around, being part of this. Obviously, 3 wins, that's nice as well to have. Made a few mistakes in there. I'm just still getting better. I hope every fight I look a little bit better than the last one. That's my main goal. I'm still making loads of mistakes in there. I'm still learning, but I felt this camp's been amazing. Everything's starting to click for us. There's been no excuses Saturday. I felt like this is the best I've ever felt for a fight.
What mistakes, you mentioned it twice, what mistakes do you think you've made?
Oh, just little silly ones, like in the fight, like after I've looked back, maybe he's hit with a punch I shouldn't have been hit with, like just going back to the last one, Usman hit, it was that big right hand early on in the first round, like I should never got hit with that. I think 90% of the time that doesn't hit us. It did, gives a little wobble, a little wake up call, and then after that I don't feel like he really hit us again after that. It's just like little silly mistakes that he could have won the fight off that big right hand, and that would have been me beat and him celebrating a 4th win in the UFC. Just little things like that. I feel like I'm still learning the job. I'm quite young. This is me 10th fight, I think, now professionally. So it's not many. So just keep getting better. That's all I can do.
Where do you think a win puts you in the heavyweight picture? Because obviously, heavyweight, you put together like a 4 or 5 win streak, you can be catapulted right up there.
Yeah, I think I've always said I like to take my time. Like I said, I'm still learning, but I do understand that heavyweight, you haven't got the time to take it slower. I do think that the fight maybe puts us in the top 15, or maybe he's a lower top 15 opponent for the next one. So I'll just see what happens. I'm not really sure how the rankings and everything like that work, but I'm just happy with the UFC, how they've matched me, how the fights have played out. So see what them offers. Hopefully come about November time, no injuries. Maybe try and get another win in November, December time, and then get another win at the end of the year. That'd be great.
Cheers, man.
Mick, Tom has been saying to the media and myself prior to this fight his strange hand strengthening methods of dipping his hands and knuckles in petrol. Has he been sharing that with the rest of the gym? And I still don't believe him, to be honest. Can you confirm if that is true?
I haven't seen him do it, but he's got some strange things. It might be working. He said his hands are feeling harder. We'll see Saturday night, Sunday morning for him. If he gets into the early round stoppage, it must be working.
Might end up becoming a pre-fight ritual.
I'll get on it. Everyone will get on it.
Before signing with the UFC, you had 3 straight knockouts. I don't want to use the word pressure, but do you want that again in the UFC now? I know you don't go searching for it, but it'd be nice to get a nice bonus, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would be amazing. The finishes, just to be the first round finish, like what Tom gets, would be amazing. In and out, done, lovely. Like I've said, I've never searched for it. Maybe it's the high-level opposition. Maybe it's me playing a little bit safe sometimes, but I've been working on my game. I do think I'll get the finish Saturday.
Do you have a roadmap in terms of big names that you want to be competing against over the next couple of years? Because the division is always stacked, isn't it?
Not really. Like I said, the UFC matches quite fairly. I don't think I'm at the point yet where I'm going to be like calling names out. Maybe, like I said, the next one, that would be a shout if I'm pushing the top 15, and maybe he's calling out people like that. But at this moment in time, I feel like just get what you're given and just fight and just win and keep winning.
And finally, just in terms of where Tom goes from here, if he wins on Saturday night, like you are hoping so, would you like to see him go up against Alex Pereira next? Because the rest of the top heavyweights are nearly all matched up, and obviously we know the plan is for Jones and Miocic.
Yeah, well, I think Tom would generally fight anybody, but it would be nice for him to get like a super fight, just get him loads of money. That would be nice, just to have him loads of money, and then that would be good. I do think Tom could beat anybody in the planet at the minute. I think he's super confident. He would fight anybody. So he said he maybe wait about, but he likes fighting. So I don't know, Pereira maybe, if that would be amazing for him. Amazing fight.
Do you think he translates well to the heavyweight division, Alex Pereira, with that knockout power?
It's definitely harder because the guy's bigger, especially while the grappling's concerned, I would say. But I think he can knock out anybody. He can knock heavyweights out, no problem. And I think his striking style, he definitely could do well at heavyweight. Maybe his Peter would be shooting him more and pinning him down. He might struggle there, but he's a big guy, so if he comes up and puts the weight on, I think he'll do fine.
Best of luck Saturday night.
Thank you.
Mick right here. I don't know if you saw Lucas's fight in Vegas a couple of years ago. He was coming out and he was high-fiving the fans, and he accidentally knocked a fan's beer and it went everywhere. How do you think that would go if he did that here?
I didn't say that, no. I think that you'd have to buy him a pint back, wouldn't you? You'd have to buy him a beer. That would be the honourable thing to do, but no, I didn't say that. To be fair, fans love stuff like that. It might be a good story, something to tell, but I wouldn't be happy, especially the prices the biggest in these arenas. Like £10 a pint, that'd be good. Oh, they're stopping this, are they? I've not got like a little license.
I don't know if I'll have it.
Oh God, bit we got to then. Done.
No way. No way.